Lifeboat Live. We have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Hey, good evening, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. And we're running about 6 minutes late, people. That would be mea culpa. That one is on me. Appreciate your patience. That one, Mark was swinging into action to save this. Ran into a little bit of traffic, but we're here and we're here in time. Let me correct a couple of things because there's been some. I got a couple of emails, and I also had my brother Johnny reach out to me and said he was a little freaked out to find out I had moved to Florida. People, I'm down here on vacation visiting family. This is not a permanent move. I shall be back in northern Nevada where I live here next week. I promise you. This is just a chance to come down and see family and recharge my batteries. Also a chance to get my eyes looked at. You know that I've been complaining. I've been doing a lot of squinting, and it turns out that the vision is 20/20. I have a little bit of trouble with reading, and as it turns out, I've been using reading glasses that are actually at least like 2.5 prescriptions stronger than what I need, which is bizarre, right? But I don't know if when I was incarcerated, you know, the light in there is horrible, and I read all day, every day, and at night, you know, you read with a book light because they turn the lights off. And you know, you end up using a book light. It was just not an ideal situation, and I think I probably stressed my eyes out a little bit. But getting in there today and getting a full test, I was blown away to find out just how good my eyes really are. So I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a situation where I'm going to be getting some different reading glasses, and I do not need anything done to my eyes. You know, at my age, that means I should be set for at least a year or two. You know, I'm pretty excited about that. And then old age will get a hold of me, and you know, and things will change, and I'll be right back to where I thought I was. I saw Oculi Mortis in the crowd. Oculi, it's great to have you back, brother. I know that you were going through it a little bit, understandably. That kind of thing can have an effect on people. I know that the ducks mean a great deal to you, but we're glad to have you back, people. I want to thank all of those newcomers that have reached out and sent emails to us. Also to those who joined the crew over at the Facebook Lifeboat page. Awesome. It really is. That is swelling in ranks dramatically. And our view count is up through the roof, which makes us feel happy. You know, everyone who's coming over here is checking out some of the older stuff, and you know, it's just very exciting time here on the lifeboat. I want to thank all of you. If, however, you have not had a chance to send a little, hey, this is who I am kind of email to myself and Mark, please do so. It helps us to get a handle on who you are and where you're at in this journey. If you are more comfortable not talking to anybody, if you're more comfortable just being you know, the term they used to use starts with an L. We call them observers. Apparently it It seems somewhat offensive to call them lurkers because you guys aren't lurking. You're just sort of observing. And if that's what you're doing, hey, you're more than welcome. Not pressuring anybody. But if you're going to be in the comment section, you're going to be leaving comments. It's always good if we have a handle on who you are. It sort of helps us do what we do better if we know who's on deck. So please take the opportunity to reach out and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at in the journey. I think it's going to benefit everybody involved. So really appreciate that. Another quick shout out to all of those celebrating sobriety dates. I got an email from Cindy Lamb. She said she's probably not going to make tonight's live stream. She had some things going on, but is still doing it. So she's on to day 4. We're super proud of her. Brandon still chugging along, proud of him. Joe Birdwell still chugging along. Also, Andrew Eats. I'm telling you, people, the number of folks that we have on the sobriety train, on the sobriety boat, the ranks are growing every day, and we couldn't be more excited about it. If you saw the thumbnail tonight, this is a subject that we went over a lot when the lifeboat first got off the ground. It was probably what people talked about the most when we first got started. Owning your past. My past is is ugly. And when I first started this channel, the first maybe 7 videos that I did were all about me bringing everybody up to speed. I didn't want somebody a month or 2 into this to say, hey, the guy we've been listening to is a bank robber, or the guy we've been listening to is, so I kind of wanted to put my life out there. And, for better or worse, this is who I am. There are people that have a problem with that. And it was a pretty good lesson for me going forward, not just for the channel, but for life in general. You're going to come across people who are going to have a difficult time accepting the fact that you struggled through addiction. There are going to be people that just quite simply can't deal with it. They're going to be judgmental. They're going to treat you differently, as if you're a second or a third class citizen because of the fact that there was, drug addiction in your past. And for me, getting that out of the way was one of the best things that I ever did. Getting the opportunity to, to put out into the ether, so to speak, exactly who I am and what I had been through was something that, it did a lot of things. From running a YouTube channel standpoint, there are people that want to bust you. They just want to, tear you down and talk bad about you. And the first thing that all of those people do is they try to dig up dirt from your past. It's a very difficult thing to do if you lay all of that dirt out in the first couple of videos. And I used to get emails every day. Mark can tell you, I used to get emails all the time from people that would say, you don't need to share all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Your past isn't the the whole world doesn't have to hear about that. And I think there were a lot of people that really struggled with how much I shared. And I talked about it a lot in the beginning, but if you're new to the boat, you probably haven't heard this. I did that for me. It had nothing to do with me feeling like everybody deserved this explanation or everybody deserved a snapshot into my life. I did this very much as a way to make me accountable to me, and in the process, make me accountable to the entire world. Since my life was built on deception for so many years, as I started to become what I often refer to as page 3 Tommy, when I redesigned who I wanted to be, one of the first things that I put down was honesty and openness. And it became a mantra for me that I was never going to go back. And I don't just mean with drugs. I mean with all of the symptoms that you could see as part of my life because of those drugs. And the one that was glaring, the one that really jumped off the page at you was just how dishonest I was. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. If you're living in the life, if you're doing drugs every single day, you have to lie to the people around you. The other option is you open your life up to them and you let them know that you are struggling every day with heroin addiction or cocaine addiction or whatever it is you're struggling with. And The reason that most of us don't do that is those people then want to intervene. If you tell people that you care about that, hey, you know what, I'm addicted to heroin, they're not going to go, oh, okay, sorry to hear it, and then head on home. Most of the people in your life are going to try to do something to make you stop. They're going to try to do something to get you help. And when you're in the life and you're addicted to drugs, the last thing in the world you want is someone trying to help you get off of it. That's a nightmare, right? That's the one thing that you do not want. Now, I'm not talking about once the decision is made, because we have people on the boat tonight who are under the influence. But the fact that you're here means that you're at some point along in that process. You've made a decision that you're ready to quit, whether or not that starts today or whether or not that starts tomorrow. There's been many people that have been on the boat and watched, for a month or longer before, they finally got to the point where they said, this is it. I'm drawing the line in the sand. I'm ready to start today. Joe Birdwell is one that, an example that really, sort of sticks out for that. Joe said that, he caught us from Mark's channel. He found us through Wages World, and he came over here and he spent, I don't remember whether he said 2 or 3 weeks, just getting high, coming here and smoking meth and doing what he did and watching the channel. And one day something that we said sort of made him sick. And he just said, that's it. I'm not going back to this channel, and kind of disappeared for a while. And, but that seed had started to grow. And as he got away from the lifeboat and started going back just to, to do, live his life, basically, he felt the overwhelming desire to come back. And when he did, that was it. He changed his life. And from that point forward, he's been living a completely different existence and fighting the good fight. So people, the act of owning your past takes a couple of different shapes. Now, do you have to tell every single person you meet that you're an addict? Do you have to do the thing that you see so oftentimes at AA and NA? Hi, how you doing? I'm Tommy Scoville. I'm a heroin addict. No, we don't encourage people to introduce themselves as an addict. If that's something you feel you got to do, great. But we certainly don't tell you that you have to. For a lot of people, I think they'd like to put it in their past. We've always stressed, if you're going to have a relationship with somebody, if this is going to be something that is, a permanent fixture in your life, it's probably a pretty good idea to let these people know where you've been. Because if not, when it does come up, it's going to destroy the relationships. We've seen that happen so many times, where you don't share it until, you end up meeting someone who says, oh, well, Tommy was on heroin for about 25 years, right? And the question always comes back, why didn't you tell me? Why did you feel like this had to be a secret, right? If there's something dishonest, if you're not telling somebody that you really care about in your life, about such a monumental part of what makes you you. But again, that decision is yours. But what I want to talk about today, because it's something that I'm dealing with, and it's something that I'm dealing with right now. And anytime I can use an example of my life, a golden opportunity for me. And one of the things that I'm dealing with right now is, I'm down here with family. I'm down here with people that really are a huge part of my life, or were, very important to me. And because of my drug use, I kind of peeled off from my family, and I spent decades avoiding my loved ones like they were the plague. And now that I'm back, and there's a level of openness, right? Obviously they know I'm upstairs right now filming a YouTube channel. So they've got a pretty good idea of what's going on in my life, but they would like to know more. And this is something that I think rears its head often. And it's something that you probably should think about before it happens. Fortunately, I did. Honestly, like before I came down here, I realized that there's two options. I can come down and they say, oh boy, how long has it been? 25 years, 23 years or something like that. So what have you been doing for the last 23 years? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you any of that. Right? I'm not telling you any of that. What I'll tell you is that I was a drug addict, and that's it. And right now I have a YouTube channel. Let me tell you a little bit about what I'm trying to do with the rest of my life. I suppose that's an angle you can take, but I'd like you to think about this. I think that this is a decision that you probably should take a little time to really kind of weigh in your mind. Because from my point of view, and you can disagree with me, but from my point of view, if these really are your loved ones, if these are people that truthfully care about you, um, then you probably owe them a better explanation than that. And I think a lot of times as addicts, we arch our back as soon as somebody asks questions, as if whatever they're asking is supposed to be to shame you or make you feel bad about who you are or something along those lines. And I think human nature, if you really care about someone and they disappeared for a few decades and there was really no talk about it at all, someone who loves you and cares about you would like to know a little bit more. And in my opinion, they're entitled to that. It's cathartic for me anyway. It is absolutely cathartic to have that conversation when someone says to me, so when did this start? Because in their head, the last time they saw you, you were this person, and then the next thing you're gone and you're disappeared. And it could be a painful conversation if you say, "Oh no, the last time you saw me, I promise you I was high." I'd been getting high for years at that point, but it was an opportunity for me again to tell my story and to be really open and honest about it, and to just sort of to allow people that cared about me to have a better understanding of why I am the guy that I am today. If you skip all of that, I think you're missing a golden opportunity, because when you become this new creation and you say to somebody, "Oh no, look, I'm sober, man. Things have changed. Here's what I do with my life." Really? Well, what happened during all of that time? I'm not talking to you about that. That's something that I don't talk about. I think you lose all credibility, and with good reason. You know what I mean? If you are a new creation, you're a new creature. I think you should probably be at ease enough to make people understand exactly how all of this transpired. And for me personally, look, everybody's situation is different, and this is something you're going to deal with. I promise you, you're going to deal with it. How you deal with it is up to you. But for me, um, this has been this has been a beautiful thing. It has allowed me to rekindle relationships that meant an awful lot to me. And in the process of doing it, um, the openness and the honesty, I think, cements my recovery. I'm not saying it's going to do this for everybody. I never do. You know this. Mark and I tell you what works for us. Whether or not that works for you, it's really not even what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is bring up subjects that you can think about, because I promise you, people, this is something you're going to deal with. If you were in the life for any period of time and your family was as affected by that addiction as mine was, then there's going to be times where you sit down with family members who want answers. I mean, they're not grilling you. It's not the third degree or any of that. But I mean, how can you love somebody and be comfortable with the fact that there's just 20 years of missing time? That doesn't even make sense, does it? Nod your head with me. Not you, Mark. You're always going to nod your head with me. I mean, everybody else. Uh, but yeah, for real, you find yourself trying to build back bridges, right? We've done whole videos on this, on rebuilding the bridges that are damaged, because so oftentimes you hear addicts say, "I burned that bridge," right? I think that bridges get damaged when you're a drug addict, and sometimes you beat the hell out of them. But in my time, I've seen very few of them that couldn't be rebuilt if you really wanted it to happen. If you were ready to take the necessary steps and to really open up and let these individuals know who you are and what you were, what you're becoming, and really give them a snapshot of all of those different phases of your life. So for me right now, I'm rebuilding bridges, and it's a great feeling. It really is. The part of it is bittersweet, because these people talk about a time when I was such a sweet kid, and the truth of the matter is, like, that was 12, 13, 14, and I was a pretty sweet kid. That was the time in my life where I was full of promise. There was all of these things that looked like, the future looked great. I was a very talented athlete. I was skiing, and it looked like that might flourish into something, and there was just a lot going on. But then, you disappear for 25 years, right? I'm 51 years old now, and uh, all of these people who care greatly about who I am would like to know what the hell happened. And a lot of times as addicts, we arch our back when people ask those questions. And I'm not saying you scream at them, but you answer questions. And if you're being honest, you've probably done this. At what point did you start, really going off the rails and doing drugs? Look, I was about 20. You know what I mean? By 20, I was really going hard. And you just start raising your voice and you start, why? What does that say about your recovery? Honestly, if you've become a new creature, and we talk about this all the time, right? If you become page 3 Tommy, and page 2 Tommy was such a different creature that for me, it's how I get by on the guilt and all of that. That's him. That wasn't me. For real. That guy was a dirtbag. So this is an opportunity for me to prove that. I'm not raising my voice. I can get analytical as hell when I describe that guy because that guy ain't me. And this isn't some mind game as a way to deal with the emotions. I've said this 1,000 times, people. Who in their right mind walks up to a bank teller and tells him he wants all the money? Right? Who in their right mind does that more than once? Well, nobody does. I wasn't in my right mind. So what does that say? Well, to me, it says that, like Mr. Loxley has told us, right? L.B. Loxley, I believe, was the one that said, if there's a dictator ruling a country and that dictator's a jerk and everything he's doing is just wrong, it doesn't make the people of that country, guilty of anything. And that really has provided peace for me. Now you don't have to view it the way I do. You view it any way you want. But for me, I take great solace in the fact that the decisions I was making really were, I was at the helm, but I definitely didn't have my hands on the wheel. That all of those decisions and all of the things that I was doing in my life were being dictated by opiates. It was heroin pulling the trigger on every decision that I made. That's what was happening. That's not psychobabble. That's not, an excuse. That's where I was. And, you shouldn't have any problem then articulating what was going on. And if you find yourself getting annoyed by the questions, and if you find yourself thinking that somehow you're getting picked on, for me, all right, that means I need to reevaluate. For real. If those questions are bothering me, I need to sit down, do my little timeout, take about 10 minutes, right, to see where I'm at, what emotion I'm feeling, and figure out why the hell that should bother me. And that's me, people. You can do the same, but for me, today was cathartic. I answered a ton of questions, and I didn't feel odd about doing it. And I'll be honest, when it was over, I have a peace that I didn't have 2 days ago. I feel like a very serious bridge in my life has been rebuilt, and I have I'm now sitting in a very healthy relationship with some people that I really deeply care for, but I allowed drugs to basically drum them out of my life. I didn't have time for people that cared about me. In fact, I couldn't stand being around people who cared about me. For whatever reason, when most addicts, when you're really in the life and you're full bore going hard, you'd much rather be surrounded by people that don't care about you. That might not make a lot of sense, but that's been my experience. You don't surround yourself with loving and caring people. You surround yourself with people who are in the same boat as you are at that time. And those are people that will beg, borrow, steal, and lie to get the next high. Right? You're not surrounding yourselves by people that care so much that they will do anything within their power to help you get sober. Good God, no, keep those people away from me. That's not what you want. You want the next buzz, and you don't want anything that threatens that buzz. I think most people who have been addicted to drugs will admit that, right? Please don't interfere with my drug use. So yeah, I think as you start owning your past, and if you're gonna be successful in this, whether you go our route, right, you go and look at the techniques that we have used to get sober, or you use the 12-step program, or you use that place out in Malibu that will cure your drug addiction, right? They will cure it. You can go back and just drink on the weekends. When you're done with them, you're cured. Hey, no matter what method you're going to use, I promise you, you're going to find yourself talking to individuals from your past who still care about you in a big way. And, how do you answer the questions? How do you address the questions asked to you by people who care? Because they're not busting on you. And if you get that feeling, then you need to rethink where you're at, because logically, this shouldn't be anything that really, really bothers you. And I remember, I think one of the reasons that this is really on my mind is sort of a juxtaposition between this and the last time that I made an attempt to get sober, because distinctly remember having this conversation with people in my family who would say, "Well, do you think this time that this is really going to stick?" And I was off the handle, right? How dare they ask me that question? Where the hell do you get off? That's a pretty legitimate question, isn't it? I mean, do you think this time is gonna work? Yeah, I do. Why? Well, let me tell you what I've done this time that's different than those other times. If that question angers you, then you're probably not in a great place. For real. If any of the questions that people ask you really anger you, then maybe you're not in the place you thought you were. Maybe it's time to take a real serious inventory of where you're at and why you're feeling the things that you're feeling. I think this is a great, canary in the coal mine in a lot of ways. This is one of those things that'll give you a real handle on how well you're doing. Are you comfortable talking about your past with people that care about you? Are you comfortable opening up? I have found that the more honest I am about my past, the less I want to repeat it. The more I open up and just let it all out, the less I think about it, the less any of that stuff haunts me. I really now I don't know that I want to have these conversations with strangers, right? I don't know that that's something that I feel like I have to open up with at that level. I don't mind coming on the lifeboat and talking about my past. I don't mind coming on here and saying that I've been to prison, that I was a criminal, and make no mistake, I was a criminal. Right? I've had people come on here. How many times, Mark? People come on here to say, you're just a criminal. I am. I never denied that. I went to prison for bank robbery. I was guilty as sin. I pled guilty. In fact, I should have gotten more time. They should have convicted me for more bank robberies. It's all part of the same deal, so it doesn't matter anymore. But I got lucky with the deal that I got. I was a rotten person. I allowed drugs to get me so far off the beaten path. You start out facing due north, right? By the time I was done, I was this close to due south. Like I was so far off of the course, it was astounding. And if I find myself trying to mitigate that, if I find myself trying to downplay that or blame it on other people, yeah, look, I was robbing banks, but my ex stole my daughter from me and it caused all of these problems. You know what? That's all true. I'm not making that up. But there's a lot of people today who are getting divorces, whose wives or husbands are doing everything they can to ruin their life and destroy the relationships they have with their kids. Most of them aren't going into Wells Fargo demanding that all the cash gets put up on the counter, right? You got to own your past. It's so easy to scapegoat parts of it, right? And that's an addict thing to do. We love telling you the truth at about 80%, right? We'll tell you about 80% of the truth. But there's that one little nugget that we're just not going to come off. You know what I mean? I'm not taking credit for that one. I will lie about this. The rest of it, you can have it all, man. But, perfect example. One of my best friends he was a running partner of mine for years. He robbed his parents' house. In the life, he went in and robbed his parents' house. And, it's not like he ran off with the furniture, but he had a very wealthy family. And he peeled them for about 25 or 30 really high dollar items that he knew exactly where they were. And when he came clean to everything he had done in his life, and I'm talking about everything, that was the one thing that he could not bring himself to come clean on. He was not going to take any credit for robbing that house. And the last time I spoke to him, he said, I told my dad I stole all that stuff. And I can't tell you how many times he went into rehab, came out of rehab, went into rehab, came out of rehab. I think when you've got that golden calf, you've got that one thing that you just can't let go of, it will just start to burn at you. It'll start to fester. I think what we do as recovering addicts in everything that we do is we got two choices, right? We can pull stuff in or we can dump it out. And when you dump stuff out, there's a healing process that happens. You do that. Whew, I am done with that. That's 60 pounds of crap. It's been on my chest or my back for the last, 20 years of my life. I've been walking like this because I'm carrying all of that guilt around like Samsonite suitcases full of lead, right? I'm done. Here it is. The world can have this. I'll open up to it. I'll admit to it. And you know what? I'm done. Guilt's not mine anymore. Right? I can lay that out there. But if there's that one bag, there's that one corner of your brain that you're just not letting anybody into. I will admit to X, Y, and Z, but I am not coming off C. Oh, I love it when that happens. But I am not going to admit to this. There's that one thing that I just cannot. And the crazy thing, people, when my friend went and told his dad, "Hey, Dad, look, man, I'm the one that set up the robbery in that house." I bet you're not shocked at what his dad said to him, right? His dad went, "Yeah." Everybody in the family knows you're the one that set that up. You know what I mean? Like they live in the sticks. They have an alarm system. There was nobody in the world that didn't think that my friend was the one that did it. Every single person in that family knew. And they didn't say to him, "Well, you're a dirtbag and you're out of this family." You know what I mean? They rose to the occasion. And I remember talking to him about it, and he was weeping because he said, "Man, you just don't know how cool my dad was about this." I'm like, "How long do you think your dad's been waiting for you to come clean on it?" I mean, good Lord, he knows. He isn't stupid. But there's a healing process that takes place at every level. You know what I'm saying? I'm here right now, and I'm talking about how much I really got out of today. Just talking to people I love and saying, "Any questions? Fire." Right? I will happily tell you everything that you wanted to know. I don't care. But as you sit and talk about it and you think, "Man, that's cool." They went through a bunch today. I can't feel it, right? I have no perspective, but I know that at the end of the day, I got a hug like I haven't had in a very long time. And it was just, you could see joy in these people's faces because I think that the level of openness and honesty that I was willing to share and talk about today screams one thing, right? It screams sober. It's not a conversation you have if you're shamming. That's not a conversation you have if you're hedging your bet. "Well, I'm sober, right? I'm not screwing up. I'm sober, but I got a bag of dope in the bag just in case." You know what I mean? Like it's not how it works. If you're opening up and you're willing to just bare your soul, there's usually a reason for it. And the reason is things like this, right? We've had an opportunity to come and talk to people who are in the same boat and share testimonials and share what we've been through, what happened to us, and how we got out of that damn malaise that almost killed us, right? And it's the best part of every story is when you get to the end of it and they say, "So what are you doing now?" "I'm helping people try not to do the same crap I did." Right? I'm not a guru. Heck, I'm not even sure I'm smart, but I know what everybody needs in order to get sober, and it's this right here. Right? Just get rid of it. Don't bottle stuff up. Don't hold that crap in. How many videos have we done in the last 15 videos that in one way or another were the exact same message, right? What is it? Share, man. Get it off your chest, get it out of your head, get it off your back, right? And think of the expressions we use, right? I need to get that off my chest. There's a real weight on my chest. Even the way that we describe it. We've done some videos, right? Called Words Mean Things. There's a reason we say the things that we say, right? I had to get that off my chest. It was suffocating me, right? What does something on your chest do? It pushes the air out to where you can't breathe, right? That's what it's like to live with all of that crap. I am going to recommend wholeheartedly that you try to rebuild bridges with the people that you love. The safest and the fastest way to do that is just to let it all out. Don't hold anything back. Let them ask the questions. And I will say this great piece of advice I got from somebody else. He said, when he came through this part of the journey, he said uh, to his family, I'm willing to do questions you want, but I'm never going to lie again. So do not ask me a question you don't want to know the answer to. And I did this, right? This is a conversation I've had with numerous people in my family who, obviously mean the world to me. And one in particular, it doesn't matter who, has said, yeah, there's a whole section of crap I don't want to know about. Like putting it just that way and saying, I promise you, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you, right? And I'm not going to BS you. If you don't want to hear about, me shooting dope in my neck while driving down the freeway or any of the other things that happened to me, right? Then don't ask me because, how did you get that scar? Don't do that. Don't ask me questions you don't want to know the answers to because I'm definitely not holding anything back. I would recommend maybe saying that. And then I would recommend living with it. If somebody asks you something, be who you are, right? Own it. If you have any questions or any doubts of the reasoning behind this, let me reiterate just once, right? What do you think the number one driver that sends people back to the bottle, to the straw, to the needle, to the bag, to whatever? What is that overwhelming emotion that sends you back? For most of us people, it's guilt. You understand? Guilt is the overwhelming emotion that drives us back. We feel guilty to ourselves for wasting life, right? Damn, I could have done so much more. You all have felt that one, right? You've all heard that automatic negative thought. And I mean, automatic negative talk. How many times you heard that one in your head? God, I could have done so much more with my life. Well, you still can, right? But you need to start today. If you spend the next 5 years saying the same thing, boy, I could have done so much more. Burn 10 more years. Keep saying the same thing. Start today. Today's the first day, no lie. Start today. But that's the first level of guilt. The second level, and the same voice is, man, my parents loved me. They were there for me, and I lied to them, and I stole from them, and I did this, and I did that. If you think you're the only one that feels these things, then you're probably new to the boat, right? There's nobody here that doesn't feel that guilt. And then for some of us, we've got kids, right? The guilt of being a crappy father is about as tough as anything you could ever deal with. But you know what was cathartic for that? When I said to my daughter, I'm sorry for being a rotten father. I said the same thing to my son. I'm sorry I was a bad dad. My son almost killed me. I honestly thought he was going to swing on me. He said, you aren't a bad dad. Like, he freaked out. My daughter was not quite so nice. But I have a relationship with my daughter right now that I couldn't be more proud of. I love my daughter. I talk to her every day. We have a great relationship. But if I BS'd her, if I hedged my bet, or if I played any of that stuff, or if she said, how old was I the first time you went to jail? If I went, hey, that's none of your business. What does that got to do with anything? I'm out now. I got to have a decent relationship. Because people do that. The default setting for us. We've learned it at a very early age in our addiction. If I snap at people, they back down, right? How many times as addicts has somebody said to you, hey, you know what? You look like you're using. What? Eh? What are you kidding me? What are you accusing me of? Right? Get up in their grill. Watch people back down. We learn it from very early on as addicts. Our best line of defense is just to get indignant, right? Give all that crap up. Give all that crap up and be who you are. Own it. Own your past. Own it for your family. Own it for the people that you care about. Friends, all of them. And depending on your level of comfort and what you want to do with the rest of your life, I own it right here. I own it because you people have become my family. You can't choose your family? Of course you can. Of course you can. We do every day here. I got thousands of you, right? Family members. I love saying that. Thousands of you. All right, people. You know what time it is. This is the time in each one of these videos where I get an opportunity to do the squirrel and look down at the comment section to see what people are saying, have a chance to interact, and more importantly, I get a chance to turn this over to my bobble-headed brother on the other side of the glass. Mark Wages, how are you, my brother?
I'm living large, living large. How's everybody
Excellent.
else out there doing? How you doing? I already heard how you're doing. You're doing great. So that's awesome.
I am doing good, man.
Yeah,
Had a
yeah,
great day.
yeah. It's always uplifting to hear those kinds of things, guys. You know, it's because we're all experiencing it at some level. We're at some position in that journey he just described. Whether you're early on, just now figuring it out, or whether you're already hit that, realized it, and have acted upon it. Make no mistake, you stay in recovery long enough, you will get to that point, because you simply are a new person. There's no doubt about it. There's a couple of analogies that that I kind of use in my own head. While Tommy was talking, he's talking about coming back to his family, and just spilling it all. And there's fear there, right? There's fear of what? Rejection, fear of just being held accountable, period. You just don't know how they're going to react. So you gotta lay that out there on the line. And man, I tell you, I know that I was, again, I said this so many times, but my family was so supportive. And, and Tommy just said it, you can choose your family. So if you're not getting that support from, those that used to be your closest confidants, sometimes you need to make a change, because you can't allow yourself to draw back into that and let that guilt, sneak back in there, because that's all it needs is just for somebody that's in recovery, it just needs a little bit of a foothold, and it'll just grow and grow and grow. Then your mind just becomes constantly stuck right there. And guys, it hate to use a movie analogy, but daggone, man, I mean, Yoda said it. What happens there? You start with guilt, leads to fear. Fear leads to anger. Where's anger lead you to? The dark side. I mean, we can get all dramatic with it, but that was a profound statement. It really was, if you really think about what he was saying there, because it's so true. And that's why that line itself stuck out in that movie, because it was full of truth. And so what I'm saying is that you can get that kind of stuff from anywhere, but that was definitely a very, very I know it was I guess a CGI quote, if you want to put it that way, but it applies. It really does. And watching Tommy talk about this, it also reminded me of, obviously I go to the biblical references because that's what I was brought up in. The prodigal son. What did that guy do when his son came back? He dropped all of it. He threw the biggest party he could for the son that had treated him the worst. And it's, yeah, that's what parents typically will do, or not even just parents, just loved ones, people that truly love you and are willing to give you that second chance, willing to, sometimes in most cases it's 15, 16, 17 chances and on,
right?
But those are the people that will help you get through what you're getting through. So you need to latch on to those kind. Now, I'm not saying that if you go, the first conversation you have with somebody about this goes south, doesn't mean you give up on that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that eventually you stay in recovery long enough. Words have meanings, but actions will speak louder than words. So what I'm saying is you gotta prove it. Okay, I'm sorry, you just have to. How do you prove it? By following through with what you just said. What you just told them, they have to actually see you fulfill that to start building that bridge back of trust. And that's something I learned with my wife. I mean, because obviously, she loved me enough, and I've already shared so much about that. But the other part that I probably haven't spoke about a whole lot, I had to earn her trust back. Because most definitely there was no trust left there, because I was a complete liar while I was using drugs. And and she realized that. So sometimes you, as the recovering addict, you can actually help those people in a way that you don't know how, that you don't even think about, and that is giving them some sort of control over what you're doing. And for me, what I did was I gave my medication to my wife. That was an accountability that allowed her to trust me, right? She knew that I
Huge.
wasn't going to be using, you know, street drugs or whatever because she knew how I acted when I did that. So she had, you know, because Suboxone, she had all that. So she knew that I wasn't going to be abusing that. So that, you know, that set her mind at ease a little bit. And now now we're far enough into it that yes, I'm still held accountable to it, but my medicine sits in a cabinet where both of us know it's at. And I do that for a reason, not because I need her to do that for me. I do that for her. And I'm not kidding. I do that for her. Because at any given time, she can walk in there, pick that bottle up, and look down up in it and see how many's there. But I never talk about it. So what I've done is at that point, I've built enough trust that she's comfortable with that. And, you know, and that's just one example. But you have to try your best to build those bridges back because, you know, if you truly love somebody, you're never, ever going to give up on them. You're just not. Doesn't mean you're going to put yourself in that situation over and over and over again, but you just don't give up. And the way that we can prove it to the ones we love is by our actions. You know, because we said enough words to them. I mean, it you know, and
Oh yeah.
it starts with words, right? Hey, I'm going to do this. But when you say it, like Tommy said, don't ask me a question if you don't want to know what the truth is, because I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, and it becomes almost a almost just blatant. Sometimes it comes out as if you're being rude or whatever, but no, you're just telling them the truth. This is what it is. I actually lost a close friend because of that. You know, he had told me something, and I don't lie to my wife. My wife asked me, I told her. That's just what happens. And I tell them, all my friends straight up, since that happened, listen, don't tell me something I can't tell my wife because I don't want to hear it. And sometimes you got to go that far with it. And I know it sucks, but you know, that's accountability.
I love that.
It's accountability.
Yeah.
And you know, and the other thing here is like it almost reminds me like when you're a teenager. And what's your mom say? Wait till your dad gets home. Right? Remember how that felt? It was like terror. You know, you're waiting for your dad to get home because, oh my God, you know, hell's coming for you. You know, you know, that kind of a thing. That's kind of what you're doing when you're trying to go through all this. You feel that way until you do what Tommy just said. Because most of the time, once dad got home, it was nowhere near as bad as what you thought it was going to be. Yeah. You know, there might still be some punishment there. There might still be some, you know, accountability that needs to happen. But the same thing applies to what we're doing. You know, our family, our whole family, or people that you love in general, become that father. You know, they came home. You're there with them now. So the best way to get past that, in my opinion, is to just spill the beans on anything that they want to know. You know, and let me tell you this too. This is something else that I learned too. That if anybody, and there is quite a few people in here in early recovery, at the beginning, that's the best time to do it. And it's for the same exact reason as Tommy said. You don't want to wait 3 months down the road and then tell them something brand new that you could have said at that point where they were just giving you all the forgiveness you could ever possibly have. So there is a benefit to doing it early on, if you can get yourself to do that. Now, you know, there's going to be things you're going to forget, not going to be said. That's different. I'm talking about the big things, right? So in early recovery, yes, take care of yourself, but you're going to be taking care of yourself if you can just let it all out at some level. Whatever the consequences are, typically, it's better just to do that, in my opinion, okay? Now, I know everybody's situation is different. Everybody's recovery is different. There's going to be a time frame that I can't lay out for you, that Tommy can't lay out for you, because it's different for everybody when we're talking about the timeline. You know, it just is. we say never quit quitting. That's why, and never stop trying. I mean, on anything at all. If it's important to you, go after it, go get it. And typically our family is that most important thing. But again, to tie it back in, you choose your family. You really do. And if it sometimes I know that this sucks to hear, there might be some family members that just simply can't get there. Because there are people out there like that. They just simply just can't get there, and it's not their fault. And after you've released everything out there like that, guess what? It's not your fault anymore either. Because it's kind of like saying, hey, I was a fat teenager, but at what point in time do I become accountable for my weight than what my parents were? Right? So you have to become an adult, right? you have to be the adult in recovery. You have to do that. You have to take that responsibility. You have to take that on, and you have to own up to it. And it's part of taking the personal inventory. All this stuff, it all ties in. And if you go back and look at the words that are being used as far as the terminology, most of it that we're talking about is, well, I guess a Yoda thing, is the dark side of emotion. It just leads to a bad thing. Always. Almost always. So don't fall into that. And again, I still say actions is the best way to show it. You can't do that immediately. So understand it's going to take some time. You just got to be given that opportunity. And if you say you're going to do it, do it. Because, you really need to. And again, there's going to be people in your life that you're not going to want to say stuff like this to. I mean, most of us know who those people are. But if it's going to cause you mental anguish to not say something, then I would say it. It's just my opinion. Because once it's out there in the ether, there's no fear there. The fear goes away because it's already there. You don't have to sit back and wonder. How many times you guys sat back and just wondered what was going to happen tomorrow because of something bad that happened today? Recently I've talked to Tommy about this. I went through it myself. I'm still going through these things, guys. I went through 3 days of hell. I'm not going to go into why. It's because it's not really that important to this conversation. But it's not that I'm afraid to share it. It's just not important to the conversation. But I went through that, so I still do that in my head, because as an addict, we're wired just to go straight to the worst thing possible. And that's something we have to relearn. And I'm relearning it. Yep. But, that's just, I think it's a great subject. I think it's been a great topic for us to talk about. And I'm so glad you were able to do that, Tommy, because, just, guys, yeah, we get a lot from this channel, but this is exactly why we do it. You guys can see it on his face. You can tell it's a relief. I'm not saying that to embarrass you, Tommy, but it's the truth. You can definitely see that relief on your face when you're talking about it. It's inspiring. It helps us understand that we can get there.
Yeah, this was a good day. It really was. I saw a great comment from Miss Honeybee. Mm-hmm. Miss Honeybee said, her parents passed before she got a chance to see her sober. And Seventh son said, "Trust me, they know." I love that. Seventh, you're a beast, because you're right. And Honeybee, I know you were talking about saying good night, but if you're still with us, make no mistake. Not only do they know, but they're proud. That's I am as sure of that as I am that the sun is going to come up tomorrow. That is just something that I do not doubt for a hot second. And, they're, if you're ever on the other side of that equation, if you ever feel like there's unfinished business, we've done shows on it. What do? Write them a letter. I know that there are people who go, look, they can't read it. It's just as much for you as it is for them, but it is cathartic as hell to write a letter to people that you can no longer talk to. And I don't necessarily just mean people who have passed. but I need people who, for whatever reason, there are people who are straight too toxic for me to ever speak to ever again. And for those people, I'll jot down a letter. I don't need to mail it. I don't even need to do anything with it. I can shred it up and throw it out. But we've talked about this so many times, people, going from the emotional part, right, to the analytical part. You put the pen in your hand, you stick that down onto the piece of paper, and your brain will shut from one side to the other. That emotional part of your brain will shut down while you're working with the analytical part. And it is a beautiful thing to put the emotional part to bed for a few moments. If you're that much torn up by somebody that you need closure and you can't get it, write a letter. Just take that pen, put it on that piece of paper and let it flow. Oh, and I see Miss Honeybee. She said, thank you very much. No, thank you, Honeybee. We're glad that you're here. Appreciate you reaching out. I'm fairly confident that that I let you into the Facebook chat. I'm pretty sure of that. If I'm wrong, well, then just get over there and I will. But I'm pretty sure that I let you in there last night. To everybody that has reached out once again on last time, really appreciate that. It does make the boat better. It does make the chats better. It makes all of it. Brandon, good to see you. When you find out that your therapist tell you I used to do drugs, I'm proud of him for quitting. Brandon, we couldn't be any happier, brother, with everything that you're doing. Really, we can't.
Yep.
When you find out that your therapist tells you I used to do drugs, I'm proud of him for quitting. Yeah, you know what? There's something to be said for knowing that they've been there and done that. It's one of the reasons that the boat works as well as it does. It's one of the reasons that this thing is growing and that everybody is we have found a home, right? We found a place where we all feel like family, and there's a reason for that because we are all cut, like it or not, from the same cloth. We are all in the same boat, and it's great to have a support family in place that care. Cemetery, good to see you, my brother. I didn't notice you earlier.
69 days sober, he said earlier.
For
Cemetery.
Cemetery, 69 days, brother. Fantastic, man. Proud of you. That is absolutely awesome.
Yep.
Let's see here, man. If I wrote letters like that, I'd run out of ink and a pen or fill up a notebook. You know what, OM? Sometimes that's what it takes, brother. Sometimes that's what it takes, But Oculi, you know what? I got a lot of faith in you, my friends. You've been a very level-headed guy since the first day that I met you, and I appreciate that. I really do. Glad that you're here all the time. And Miss V agrees with you. Between the two of you, apparently you guys can fill up a couple of notebooks. Joanna W, great to see you. Stacy Michaels, always a pleasure to see you. Truth, you know how I feel about you, my brother. People, reach out. If you have not said hello to us, please do so. Garth, good to see you. Charlie Mullins, Swiss Vapor, we got the entire, he got it in. Captain Clumsy Squirrel, knew it was coming. All righty, people, we are at the top of the hour. We are officially at the witching hour. So I want to thank each and everybody that showed up here. Tomorrow morning, believe it or not, I really am doing a live feed. It's going to be at our normal time. That will be at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. That would be Oculi Mortis' coast. As you all know, that's the West Coast, the best coast, even though I'm on the East Coast. People, I didn't move here. Stop telling people that. I got family members calling me and they're scared. Johnny said to me, you moved to Florida? You didn't even tell me? What the hell's that all about? I moved to Florida. You people must just read the thumbnails and leave or something. I guess I have that effect on people. So between right now and tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, when we're going to get back together for a live feed, you have but one assignment. We would love you to reach out and try to save somebody because it's what we do, right? Plain and simple. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. On the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
All right, people. Have a good evening. God bless.